Is support the best your marriage can hope for? Is that the highest aspiration for your half of the partnership? To simply be a cheerleader on the sidelines of your husband's life? You're exhausted from trying to support a man who seems to be floundering, or worse, taking your efforts for granted. You're tired of being told that your role is to be a quiet, understanding presence while he navigates his challenges. You wake up wondering if there's more to marriage than this passive, often unfulfilling expectation. This isn't about blaming you or him. This is about a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes a truly powerful, unbreakable partnership. The modern narrative of support is weak. It's a low bar. It breeds resentment and stagnation. It's why so many marriages feel like two separate lives running parallel, occasionally intersecting, but rarely truly merging into something greater. You've been sold a lie that a good wife is a supportive wife. You've been told that your job is to cushion his falls, to soothe his ego, to be his emotional punching bag or his silent confidant. But what if that very notion is holding you and your marriage back from true excellence? What if support is actually a trap? If this resonates with you and you're ready to transform your marriage using ancient wisdom that actually works, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share this video with someone whose marriage could benefit from a dose of Stoic wisdom, and comment below with Outperform to unite to join our community of couples building unshakable marriages. Modern therapy tells you to meet him where he is, to validate his feelings, to create a safe space. It's all about soft landings and gentle understanding. But the Stoics understood that true strength comes not from softness, but from rigor, from challenging yourself and your partner to be better, to be more virtuous, to live up to their highest potential, not just their current comfort level. Everyone says marriage is about compromise and mutual understanding. But Marcus Aurelius knew that true growth comes from self-mastery, from an internal fortress built against external pressures. He knew that the only person you can truly control is yourself, and that your excellence is your greatest contribution to any relationship. This isn't about being a doormat or a martyr. It's about being a force. The Spartan women weren't supportive in the modern sense. They were formidable. They were known for telling their men, "Come back with your shield or on it." They didn't coddle. They cultivated strength. They didn't just stand by their men. They stood beside them, often pushing them to greater heights, embodying the very virtues they expected. This isn't about competition in a destructive way, but about a shared pursuit of excellence, where each partner's individual virtue elevates the whole. Your marriage isn't failing because you're incompatible. It's failing because you're both trying to control the uncontrollable and you're settling for mediocre expectations. The person you married doesn't exist anymore. Neither do you, and that's exactly as it should be. You're not looking for a better partner. You're looking for a better philosophy. Every marriage has the same fundamental problem. Two people trying to get their needs met. The Stoics had a better way. Let's talk about the dichotomy of control. This is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Epictetus put it plainly: some things are in our control and others are not. Your husband's choices, his moods, his successes, his failures, these are not in your direct control. Your judgments, your actions, your character, your virtue, these are entirely within your sphere. Modern marriages constantly violate this. You try to fix him, to change him, to make him happy, to manage his emotions. You get angry when he doesn't do what you want, sad when he's down, worried when he struggles. You tie your own emotional state to his externals, and then you call it support. For example, your husband comes home from work, complaining about his boss, about traffic, about how unfair life is. The typical modern response is to empathize, to agree with his complaints, to commiserate, to offer unsolicited advice, or to try and cheer him up. You might say, "Oh, honey, that's terrible. Your boss is such a jerk. You deserve so much better." This often reinforces his victim mentality and leaves you feeling drained. A Stoic wife, internalizing the dichotomy of control, understands that his complaints are externals. She cannot control his boss, his traffic, or even his interpretation of events. What she can control is her own response. Instead of joining his pity party, she might listen calmly, without judgment, and then pivot to what is within her control. She might say, "I hear you. What's within your power to change about this situation?" This does several powerful things. First, it doesn't feed the negativity. Second, it shifts the focus from external blame to internal agency. Third, it subtly challenges him to find solutions, not just to vent. The immediate benefit is a calmer household and a less emotionally draining interaction for you. The long-term benefit is a husband who learns to take responsibility for his reactions and seeks solutions within his control rather than wallowing in victimhood. You are not supporting his weakness. You are inspiring his strength. Next, consider amor fati, love of fate. This isn't passive acceptance. It's an active embrace of everything that happens, not just the good, but the bad and the ugly. It's seeing obstacles as opportunities for growth, as material for your virtue. In marriage, this means embracing the challenges, the disagreements, the inevitable disappointments, not as signs of failure, but as inherent parts of the journey. Modern marriage often views conflict as something to be avoided or quickly resolved, as if its mere presence indicates a problem. You're told to fight fair or to never go to bed angry. But the underlying assumption is that conflict itself is bad. One couple I encountered was constantly fighting about money. He was a saver, she was a spender. Every financial decision became a battleground. Their modern approach was to try and compromise, which often meant both feeling like they lost a little. They saw their differing financial philosophies as a fundamental flaw in their partnership. A Stoic approach, rooted in amor fati, would recognize that these differences in approach are not misfortunes, but simply facts of their shared reality. They are the fate of their financial life together. Instead of fighting against them, they would lean into them. The Stoic wife wouldn't lament her husband's frugality or her own desire for comfort. She would see these as forces that, when properly understood and integrated, could lead to a more balanced financial life. She might say, "Okay, this difference in how we see money is part of our journey. How can we use this tension to build a stronger financial future, rather than letting it tear us apart?" This shifts the dynamic from opposition to collaboration. It transforms a perceived weakness into a potential strength. The immediate benefit is less resentment and more productive conversations. The long-term benefit is a shared financial strategy that is robust precisely because it has integrated different perspectives and a deeper appreciation for the unique strengths each partner brings. You are not just accepting fate, you are actively loving it and shaping it. Then there is temperance or sophrosine. This is the virtue of moderation, self-control, and balance. It's about having mastery over your desires and impulses and knowing what is truly enough. Modern marriage, fueled by consumerism and endless gratification, often lacks temperance. You want more things, more experiences, more attention, more emotional fulfillment from your partner than any single human can provide. You demand instant gratification for your needs and emotional responses. This leads to constant disappointment and a sense of never being truly satisfied. Consider the common scenario of unmet emotional needs. You feel neglected because your husband isn't expressing affection in the way you prefer, or isn't initiating intimacy as often as you'd like. The typical response is to feel hurt, to withdraw, to accuse him of not loving you enough, or to try and manipulate him into giving you what you want. You crave a specific emotional experience, and his failure to provide it feels like a personal slight. You might say, "You never tell me you love me anymore," or "We never do anything fun." A Stoic wife practices temperance over her emotional demands. She recognizes that her happiness is not dependent on her husband's actions or expressions. She cultivates her own inner peace and joy, and she approaches her desires with moderation. She might reflect on her own needs, consider what is truly essential, and express her desires calmly without attachment to the outcome. She might say, "I would appreciate more verbal affection, but regardless, I am secure in our bond." This isn't about suppressing your needs. It's about not being enslaved by them. It's about understanding that your emotional well-being is primarily your responsibility. The immediate benefit is less emotional reactivity and more constructive communication. The long-term benefit is a marriage built on mutual respect and individual emotional resilience, rather than codependency or constant demand. You are not just supporting his emotional capacity, you are elevating your own. Now, let's ascend to the view from above, or this is the practice of stepping back from your immediate emotional entanglement and viewing your situation from a broader cosmic perspective. It helps you see the triviality of many daily squabbles and focuses on what truly matters. Modern marriage often gets bogged down in minutiae. The toothpaste cap, the dirty dishes, the tone of voice, the forgotten anniversary, these seemingly small things ignite massive battles because you lose perspective. You become so enmeshed in the immediate grievance that you forget the larger context of your shared life, your values, and your finite time together. Your husband leaves his socks on the floor, again. Your immediate unfiltered thought might be, "He disrespects me. He doesn't care about our home. He never listens." This spirals into anger, resentment, and a desire to punish or correct him. You might yell, "Are you ever going to pick up your disgusting socks?" A Stoic wife would employ the view from above. She would mentally zoom out. She would consider the vastness of the universe, the brevity of human life, the countless struggles humanity has faced, and then place a pair of socks on the floor within that context. Is this truly a threat to her virtue? Is it worth sacrificing her peace over? She would recognize that her anger comes from her judgment about the socks, not the socks themselves. She might calmly pick them up, or simply note it for a later calm conversation, or even humorously say, "Ah, the ever-present sock monster has struck again." The immediate benefit is that you prevent a petty argument from escalating into a full-blown marital crisis. The long-term benefit is a marriage where minor irritations are seen as precisely that, minor, and the focus remains on the larger, more significant aspects of your shared life. You are not just tolerating his flaws, you are transcending them with wisdom. Memento mori, remember that you must die. This powerful Stoic practice forces you to confront your own mortality and the mortality of those you love. It's not morbid, it's a catalyst for living, fully, acting virtuously, and cherishing the present moment. Modern marriage often takes permanence for granted. You assume you have endless tomorrows, endless opportunities to apologize, to connect, to express love, to resolve conflicts. This assumption breeds procrastination, neglect, and a passive approach to the relationship. You put off difficult conversations, you let resentment fester, you assume there will always be time later. One couple I know postponed their dreams of travel for years, always saying, "Someday." Then tragically, one of them fell ill. The someday never came for half of their dreams. They lived with the crushing regret of time wasted, opportunities missed, and words left unsaid. A Stoic wife, practicing memento mori daily, would approach her marriage with urgency and presence. She would understand that every interaction is precious, every moment an opportunity to practice virtue. She would not let resentments linger. If a conflict arose, she would address it with a sense of its impermanence. She would ask herself, if this were our last day, is this how I would want to spend it? She would actively work to deepen her connection, express her love, and live without regret. This means that instead of putting off a difficult conversation about differing parenting styles, she would initiate it with courage and clarity, knowing that time is finite. Instead of assuming her husband knows she loves him, she would express it regularly and sincerely. The immediate benefit is deeper connection and less unresolved tension. The long-term benefit is a marriage lived with profound intention, where every day is cherished and every interaction is an opportunity for virtue. You are not just living in the present, you are living with the end in mind, which makes every moment more meaningful. Then there is virtue ethics. For the Stoics, the only true good is virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Everything else, health, wealth, reputation, even marriage itself, is a preferred indifferent. Your primary duty is to cultivate your own character, to act in accordance with reason, and to contribute to the common good. Modern marriage often flips this on its head. Marriage itself becomes the good, and your partner's happiness or your own emotional comfort becomes the ultimate goal. You might compromise your values, sacrifice your integrity, or neglect your own growth for the sake of keeping the peace or making him happy. You might tolerate disrespect or settle for less than you deserve, all in the name of preserving the relationship. For example, your husband makes a morally questionable business decision that benefits the family financially, but goes against your personal values of honesty and integrity. The typical modern response might be to rationalize it for the sake of the family, or to silently resent it while enjoying the financial gain, or to argue about it endlessly without clear resolution. You prioritize the external good of financial security over the internal good of virtue. A Stoic wife would recognize that her virtue is her highest good. She would not compromise her integrity, regardless of the external consequences. She would act with justice and courage. She would calmly, rationally, and clearly articulate her stance, not from a place of judgment or anger, but from a commitment to her own moral compass. She might say, I cannot support this decision because it compromises our integrity, and that is something I will not sacrifice. This is not about being rigid or self-righteous. It's about being anchored in your own moral foundation. The immediate benefit is that you maintain your integrity and self-respect. The long-term benefit is a marriage built on a foundation of shared, unwavering virtue, where both partners inspire each other to live honorably, even when it's difficult. You are not just trying to be a good wife. You are striving to be a virtuous human being, and that is the greatest gift you can give your marriage. Finally, let's discuss preferred indifference. As mentioned, everything outside of virtue is an indifferent. Some indifferents are preferred, like health, wealth, family, reputation, and some are dispreferred, like poverty, illness, death, but they are all ultimately indifferent to your virtue. You can prefer them, you can work for them, but you must not attach your happiness or your sense of self-worth to them. Modern marriage often makes preferred indifference into absolute necessities. We become obsessed with having the perfect house, the perfect children, the perfect sex life, the perfect social standing. When these preferred indifference are not met or are taken away, your marriage collapses into despair and conflict. You fight over renovation choices, child-rearing philosophies, or sexual frequency because you've elevated these externals to the status of ultimate goods. Consider the common struggle with intimacy and sex. You or your husband might have differing libidos, or different preferences or life circumstances. Stress, children, illness might impact your sex life. The typical modern response is often frustration, resentment, feeling undesirable, or pressuring the other person. You feel entitled to a certain level or type of intimacy, and its absence is seen as a major marital failure. A Stoic wife, understanding preferred indifference, would recognize that while intimacy is a preferred indifferent, it is not virtue itself. Her happiness is not dependent on a specific frequency or type of sexual interaction. She would approach the situation with temperance and reason. She would prioritize her own virtue, her self-control, her wisdom in understanding her body and her partner's, her justice in expressing desires without demanding. She might say, "I desire intimacy, and I will express that desire openly. But my well-being is not contingent upon its fulfillment, nor will I demand it from you." This doesn't mean giving up on intimacy. It means approaching it from a place of internal strength, not desperate need. It means you can still pursue a fulfilling sex life, but without the emotional baggage of attachment and expectation. The immediate benefit is less pressure, more genuine connection, and more open communication. The long-term benefit is a relationship where physical intimacy is a joyful expression of connection, not a source of constant negotiation or resentment, because it is understood within its proper context as a preferred but not essential good. You are not just working on your sex life. You are cultivating a deeper, more virtuous connection. The truth is, this isn't about being a supportive wife. It's about being an excellent human being, a virtuous force, a woman who is so anchored in her own character that she becomes an immovable object and an irresistible force for good in her marriage. Here's what actually happens when you stop trying to control your husband, when you stop making his actions responsible for your happiness, and when you focus relentlessly on cultivating your own virtues. Something profound shifts. Most marriage experts miss this. They tell you to focus on communication techniques, on empathy, on shared hobbies. All fine, superficially, but the Stoics understood something we've forgotten. The most powerful change you can make in your marriage is to become the best version of yourself, independently of your partner's actions. The shocking reality is that your personal excellence is the greatest support you can offer. This isn't about making him feel inadequate. It's about inspiring him through your own example. It's about raising the bar, not just for him,